Phyllis, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sherry, you're on mute. I think you're talking, but we can't hear you. So you need to do you know how to unmute yourself? Should be a little microphone button and you can press that. There you
I
go.
got it. Okay.
Yay.
Hey,
Hi, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you. Are you Paige?
Yes, I'm Paige.
Okay. Good to meet you too.
Hi, Padma.
I'm not the only one in, am I?
Oh, are you on your phone right now?
I'm on my iPad.
Oh, okay. I think if you scroll over, you'll be able to see everybody.
Oh, okay. Hi.
You got it? Yeah, you're not.
Yeah. Do we want the
Cool.
mute on or no?
You don't need to.
Can leave
Welcome.
it. Hi.
Yeah, you could leave it on. Hi, nice to see you.
Are you? You're Padma.
I'm Padma. Yes, I'm
Padma. Okay, I wondered how to
yes.
pronounce. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you in Alabama?
I am in Auburn, Alabama, War Eagle.
Wonderful. I've never been to Alabama, but
it's hot, humid.
I bet it is.
Yeah. We're about to get a cold front that will bring us down to the 80s.
Oh, that should be like pleasant, actually, then.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm looking forward to
it. Nice. Well, so glad you're here.
Thanks. Is this the second one in the series?
The third.
The third. Okay.
It's
sorry, I missed the others. I just learned about this. Crystal spoke at a meeting that I attended on Zoom, of course, and she told us all about it and invited us to join. But I'm with the 5P minus society. 5P minus is the technical name for Cretishaw, which is what my daughter, who's 29, has, and that's a chromosome deletion. So.
Well, I'm glad you found us.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Phyllis, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine. Have you all introduced yourselves?
Nope, not yet.
Why don't you go ahead? That seems nice while we're waiting. See if a couple more people show up.
Welcome, Sherry.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Phyllis, and I have 5 children. 3 of my sons had, and they passed away. They were 12, 18, and 19.
It just glitched out, Phyllis. Do you want to say again? It got interrupted.
Are you Crystal's mother?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I heard the story. I'm so sorry about your sons.
Thank you.
That's got to be very, very difficult.
It is difficult for all of us, for everyone. It was particularly hard for me back then because I didn't have angel aid.
Right.
And so I'm very grateful for these sessions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your daughter is absolutely fantastic, I have to say.
Thank you. And I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I hope you come on Thursdays too, because we have it at 10 o'clock.
Is this the same kind of relationship meeting or is it
called
different?
The Roundhouse?
Okay. I saw that.
And
okay. And I have a question.
I can tell you about it. She's kind of an...
Okay. Can I ask you a question? Can you join more than one community?
Sure.
Oh, now how do you do that? Because I just joined the top one on the list, and I think there were 3 communities.
You mean within Mighty, like you joined Mighty Networks and then you saw several workshops?
I guess.
Yeah, you can run as many workshops as you want.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's just one community.
One community on Mighty Networks.
Okay. Yeah. And we're all talking about relationships right now.
Yeah. So on Tuesdays, it's Rare Mothers. Yep. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah. Today's workshop is called Rare Mothers and Relationships. And
Okay.
so here we're focusing and we're loosely using a book that I wrote called Being Together. It's not a book group though, but this is just like
Okay.
as a resource. So
Okay.
we're kind of looking at the components that make for a really healthy, thriving relationship, and how relationships, the particular relationship challenges that show up for rare mothers. Now, some of them are particular and some of them are just plain old relationship
Right.
challenges and gifts. And so how do we do the dance of relationship in a way that's skillful and loving and creates a feeling of support and really a container in which you and your family are held. So that's what we're doing here on Tuesdays. And Thursdays is the Rare Mothers Round Table, where, Paige, do you want to say something about that just briefly?
Yeah, sure. So the idea behind the Rare Mothers Roundtable is just to like share your story. So each week we try to highlight a different rare mother, or actually a couple weeks ago, Phyllis and her husband joined us. So we did rare parents.
Oh,
And
awesome.
yeah, so the purpose behind that is just that what I envision is like a newly diagnosed family or just somebody really struggling and feeling really alone and isolated looks on the internet and then finds this YouTube channel full of like mothers sharing their stories and realizing like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Like I'm experiencing the same thing as these mothers in these families. So that's the idea behind it. So we just join, and then we try to like highlight one mother who will kind of share her story for the first part, about 30 minutes, and then the second 30 minutes is just a meetup, just talking, sharing,
Okay.
connecting. Yeah.
Okay. And so, oh gosh, I have so many questions. It's okay. Go ahead.
Feel free to reach
Okay.
out to me at any point over email
I
about
will. I
your
will.
questions.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
here for.
You're welcome to
Okay.
reach out to me too, Sherry,
I
and
think
any
I
of
sent
you.
you a message earlier,
You
but
did.
Okay.
I
Good.
responded.
Oh,
So
good.
I'm
Okay.
so glad. Yeah.
Good.
And so usually, and I just want to say hi, Kathy, and hi, Katie. Welcome. Glad you're here. We have Kathy, Katie, Catherine, and Kathy. We've got a lot of K's. I've discovered. I
Okay.
used to want to run a women's group for years, and I would have like 4 or 5 women with K names. It was really something. I
Oh,
think it's popular.
yes. I have a Kelly.
So, well, there you go. So usually, and right now, I think what we're going to do, we begin with a meditation just
Okay.
to kind of settle in. And then if you want to grab a piece of paper or a journal, I like to just have a little bit of reflective time. And then we'll spend the rest of the time. Oh, I'm going to read you something from a wonderful book by David White, who's an incredible writer. If you don't know about his work, this is called Consolations, Solace, Nourishment, and Underlying Meaning of Everyday Words. And he's just, I mean, really everything he writes is amazing. So I highly recommend his writing. And I'm going to read to you to begin. So I'm just looking for the page, even though I folded it over. So yeah, this is a passage he writes. I'm not going to read you the whole thing because it's too long. Even though it's not really too long because his writing is so brilliant. But I won't read you the whole thing. So I'm going to invite you to just get yourself settled, and you can close your eyes and you can just listen with eyes closed and let his words touch you, wash over you, wash through you. See possibly if there's anything here for you. So this is a little bit of his reflection on help, because we're going to talk a little bit about team play today and see how that's been going for you all. And team play, one of the elements of team play is we're helping each other, supporting each other in a relationship, all of our relationships. So he says, help is strangely something we want to do without, as if the very idea disturbs and blurs the boundaries of our individual endeavors, as if we cannot face how much we need in order to go on. We are born with an absolute necessity for help. Grow well only with a continuous succession of extended hands, and as adults depend upon others for our further successes and possibilities in life, even as competent individuals. Even the most solitary writer needs a reader, the most Machiavellian mobster a trusted lieutenant, the most independent candidate a voter. Not only does the need for help never leave us alone, we must apprentice ourselves to its different necessary forms at each particular threshold of our lives. At every stage, we are dependent on our ability to ask for specific forms of help at very specific times and in very specific ways. Even at the end, the dignity of our going depends on others' willingness to help us die well, the sincerity of their help often commensurate to the help we extended to them in our own life. Every transformation has at its heart the need to ask for the right kind of generosity. Just breathing and receiving whatever is there for you. And we're just going to meditate for about 7 minutes. So make yourself comfortable. So allowing yourself to breathe easily. Breathe in a way that feels good to your body, to your being, to every cell and fiber of you. Breath is your ally. It is, in some ways, a helper. So, right now, just let your breath help you to slow down, to let all of the busyness, the doings, the tasking, letting all of it be put to rest just for right now. Now, as you're breathing, you might notice that your body begins to soften, begins to settle and relax. Breath creates space for you to be here, just as you have created space for yourself to be here right now. And as you're breathing, I wonder if you can sense or acknowledge the help that you are getting in your life, the help that your partner, your husband is offering you. Just see if it's possible to receive the help that is being given, and how that shows up. And receiving is one of the keys to having a healthy relationship. So see if you can receive this help that's being given. Receive it like the earth receives the rain. And how it softens and drinks it in so that the plants and flowers, trees can grow. And I don't know if this is something that you are familiar with, receiving, letting in loving actions, loving words, loving glances, or the simplicity of a smile. And then take a big breath and just see what it's like to receive yourself and all the help, all the incredible generosity of giving, caregiving that you are offering. What is it like? Can you receive the fruits of your own merits? And it's all right if you're challenged. Just notice what it's like to receive yourself. Perhaps what you have been offering this past week, or in this day, in this morning, into the afternoon. Affirming your own willingness, your own fortitude, the deep goodness that lives inside. And just taking a little bit more time to absorb whatever it is that you have received in this meditation, in this quiet time, this time of turning your attention inside. This is sacred time because you, as a rare mother, spend a lot of time with your attention focused on your child, on your children. And this is time for you. This is time for us as a community to be nourished, to be held, to be seen and heard. Just take a moment and acknowledge yourself for making it here. For being committed to yourself, to your relationship, to your family. And then, as you're ready, you can gently let your eyes come open. And feel how maybe there's some kind of shift that has occurred. Maybe this is the first time you've stopped today. There is immense value in slowing down and stopping. This cannot be underestimated, especially in the overflowing busyness of our lives and of your life as a rare mother. So let's just take a few minutes. Let's reach for my pen. And I'm just curious what did you receive? What did you receive through that meditation or through that reading? And also, if you were here last time, you're welcome to reflect on, wow, how did my week go? What did I practice? Did I implement? Did I not? Just to notice the shifts that you are making inside yourself. We'll just take a little bit of time to reflect. And then we'll come back. It's taking a little bit more time to finish up. And I want to welcome Vicki. I'm glad you're here. Maybe you're on your phone, I'm guessing. And if you're not, you're welcome to put on your video if you want. So I'd love to hear from anyone who wants to share about what touched them or what happened over the course of the week so that we can learn from each other. That's the idea. And so what I want to say also is that when somebody shares, if you have something you want to reflect back briefly, please do, because really we're sourcing our collective wisdom here. There's a lot of wisdom. Anytime you get a group of people, especially a group of women in a circle, there's a lot of wisdom. So, and there's a lot of wisdom in this circle from all of you. So please feel free to share. Oh, okay, Vicki, great. Well, feel free to post any comments. Vicki's in a public space. So who wants to begin? You're welcome to read from what you wrote. You don't need to. You can just share what's moving in you. I'm always curious what came up. You need to unmute yourselves.
Well, I'll share. So I talked to my husband, Todd, about doing appreciations, like the 3 minutes each. And he's like, we don't need to do that. We appreciate each other. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it anyway. And so
Nice.
we did it at least a little bit. Oh, and Bella wants to come in here and say hello. She's being very loving, right?
Oh, ciao, Bella.
Hey, Bella. So we did work on it a little bit, and I just I didn't sit with him since he wasn't wanting to do that. We tried that. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just be more vocal as he does things like, hey, I appreciate you taking the garbage out, or hey, I appreciate you noticing that the dishes needed to get done. I mean, for so long, I felt like he didn't notice things. And so he is actively noticing things now and taking initiative and doing it. And so I've just been vocal about saying thank you. And then also when the kids do something, just telling them, thank you. I appreciate that you did that. That really helps, just that. And that felt good because then I think they would say it back a little bit too. And then, and my husband was just like, oh yeah, I appreciate that you get the food and cook the food and all that kind of stuff, which is a big deal. It is a big chunk of time, right? So it is. I appreciated that he said that. So we worked on that. And then I also did the meditations on Insight Timer at least a couple times this week. And they were wonderful. Yeah. So thank you for the tips. And I read the book, some of the book too. So thank you. It's been good.
Wow. Way to implement. That's awesome, Kathy. And just for Sherry, we spoke about this last week, and I just wanted to stick around with this because appreciation is so key, and receiving, and just the practice, as Kathy so wonderfully did, you integrated it, right? And then you're actually leading. I'm leading a culture of appreciation in my home, right? Rather than oh, of course you made dinner for the 10 millionth time, And this is really something, because then it fills us up. It just fills us up, and it fills the people in our world up, and then it softens things. Appreciation is just the kind of lubricant for love. So that's awesome. Yeah. What else is moving in you? And you know what? There's no, if you didn't do it at all, that's okay. If you even said one time, one thing out loud to your husband, and Sherry, I'm going to guess you have a husband. Is that correct? Yeah. And maybe Vicky, I'm not sure. I just want to make sure I'm using the right pronouns and, not assume things. So I'm in the Bay Area. We're really looking at that a lot here. So what else? What else came up for you? What touched you, Catherine?
Hi, Padma. During the reading, I was thinking a lot about help. And then during the meditation, I was so kind of deliciously blank. Like I don't remember being that sort of silent inside me for a long time. So that felt amazing. And somehow that deep silence helped me in the writing. So I was thinking about help, and let's see if I can just read this. The idea of needing and accepting help. And I can see how I pushed it away for a long time by being really controlling. Like I wanted help, but I wanted very specific help that I couldn't really find. And so something happened just yesterday that I was really able to turn that around. And so I was going to help my mom with something, and the circumstances changed. And so she declined my help because she wanted to protect me and help me from being like anxious about something. It would have made me anxious to do it. So she was like, yeah, you don't need to do this. And I said, okay. And I meant it. And in the past, I would have been upset at the circumstance and would have forged ahead anyway. And I would have been insulted at being protected. And I would have been disappointed at the whole situation. And so instead I was able to I just thanked my mom, and I felt loved by her for protecting me. And I realized that, I always want to feel loved and protected, but I often don't let it happen. So that was it was so nice because it wasn't hard. It just naturally happened. So anyway, it was a really clear example of not only not running myself down, but also accepting her love and protection and feeling precious. Like I felt really precious. And that is what I always want my kids to feel. And I don't always feel precious myself. And so that's my meditation on help.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful to accept the help and because accepting, it sounds like you really received it, you let it in. And that's key. Is anyone else? I saw some heads nodding. Is it hard sometimes to receive help for anyone else to let it in? And Catherine, you spoke about, wanting it to be very specific help. If anybody wants to reflect on that, on the difficulty, if it's easy, let us know what the key is to letting it in, because really we're just learning from each other. And thank you, Vicky. Who's next?
I think I can say that it's also some of what I wrote and reflected on was just that I find it hard sometimes to recognize and receive help, like recognize when help is being offered and accepting my own need to receive it. I'm definitely, I think, better at offering help to others. And I think I have a profession. I'm a hospital-based pediatrician, and caring for others and offering help to sick and injured children and infants is what I do. And I think that I just have a lot of trouble accepting that in return. And so that's been hard. I also, I think that I've noticed it recently in really silly little ways. My son's bus that takes him to his special education program has been coming late in the morning. And so we need to get our daughter to school, but somebody has to wait with him for the school bus. And on mornings where one parent is at work, we can't both do that. So we have to ask a neighbor or a friend to bike with our daughter to school, which is really simple. That's a very neighborly friendly thing to do. And I think I have a really hard time. I feel like I'm keeping score. How many times have I asked this neighbor to bike with her? Or I haven't offered to take care of their child. So I think that sometimes for me, help feels like it needs to be quantified and reciprocated. And if I can't, like, I have trouble receiving it if I'm not offering something in return, which is really not the point. But I was really just thinking about how challenging that was for something that's so simple. And like, I really feel like our neighbors and friends have, willingly and happily offered that. And it's really not an inconvenience for some of them. And I feel like I need to like just be able to let that kind of sink in and receive that and not feel the need to keep the score.
Right. So I wonder what gets in the way of receiving the help. Besides, like, I'm keeping score and some thought of maybe, well, I should be reciprocating, and is it unbalanced? What's in the way?
I think there's some element of like, I think I want to feel very like independent and in control. Like I can handle the logistics for my family. Like I should be able to get my children to school, or, we should be able to, between us as a couple, manage our children and our careers. And if we can't, then we're not, doing a good job, or we're not enough as parents. I think that's part of it.
Great. So there's a word that jumps out at me. I don't know if it jumped out at anybody else. This is a buzzword, or not a buzzword. This is a red flag word. And the word is should, right? Should just indicates I am judging myself, right? And we all do it. I should be able to. I saw Phyllis nodding. I saw several of you nodding. It's like, well, I should be able to do it. We should be able to do it. And all the maybe like limiting beliefs that are in there, right? That are saying, well, if we can't do it, and I think I mentioned this before, then this means if we can't do it on our own, this means blank about us. So that's a structure. Have I mentioned that lately to anyone? This means that. Okay. I'm just going to throw it in because it's a really good phrase to look. So if you're saying should, you're in judgment of yourself or others. So just flag the word should. Okay. So we're going to not should on ourselves, as it were. Because also so that indicates a judgment and most likely a limiting belief. And limiting beliefs are limiting. They're constraining, they're constricting. And why? Why would we do that to ourselves? Life is challenging enough as a rare mother, and then a pandemic, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, in this world right now. So we want to be gentle with ourselves. And so you can always, and I think we mentioned this, you can always reframe when I'm saying, oh, well, for instance, what does it mean about our family? If we can't do it all ourselves, it means that we're not what, Katie? We're not successful. We don't have it together. What does it mean?
Yeah, we're not good parents.
We're not good parents. Okay. So let's just reframe that, right? Phyllis, do you want to add? I just want to say one reframe. So actually, we are great parents, and it takes a village. Have you noticed that in many places and in most cultures, people live in villages? There's a reason for that. We're not supposed to be just like doing it ourselves. It's this whole sort of American, like, we don't need anybody story. So the shoulds and the reframe, and you're not the only one who does it. We all do it. We all make that. And the other thing I just want to flag is, you said, oh, it's not an inconvenience to our neighbors. They've actually agreed to do it very willingly. On top of that, it makes them feel good. Giving makes us feel good. So asking somebody for a favor is actually inviting them to give, which is nourishing. And it's trusting if you're, that they're not going to overextend and do it and in lieu of something else that they actually need to do for themselves or their family. We have to trust that people are going to have clear boundaries, which is hopefully the case. Phyllis.
I was thinking about Kathy when I realized that, let's see, where did I put this? we know our child better than anybody else, right? We know our children better than anyone else. And that is a power that we have. But what I liked about what you read was that we apprentice ourselves so we can ask for help.
Mm.
And I'm not doing too good with words this morning, but that thought that, yes, I know David and Jared and Randy better than anybody else. I know everything about them, their ups and downs, their ins and outs, and how to fix this and how to do that. But then when I ask for help, I'm getting confused because I'm not listening to the help. And so the concept of being an apprentice to the person that I've asked for help and hearing what they have to say was a different. So I appreciated
Phyllis, can you
that.
repeat that last sentence? It just got a little garbled.
I don't know if I can. I being apprentice to the person I asked for help, instead of thinking, oh, well, I know already David, Jared, and Randy better than anybody else, but opening up and listening to what they are offering. I like that concept of being apprentice to the person that I ask for help, because we all have things that we can learn.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you're speaking to receiving, right? This is receiving. I'm actually receiving what somebody has to give without this thought of, well, I know better, right? Because I know better, in a sense, is like blocking the help. Well, you might have something. And so just being willing to receive, it doesn't mean we're going to take everything, but being willing to actually receive and listen and then be discerning. Oh, yeah, this makes sense. And just the act of listening, which is also a tremendous relationship skill, the act of listening. I'm listening to what you have to say before I add my opinion, my judgment, my insight, whatever it is. I'm listening to you first before I respond. So listening, the practice of active listening or open listening is very helpful.
And I wanted to tell Kathy that I had the same experience with my husband. I was, it's almost like an elementary thing to be saying, I appreciate that you did something. And he's so intellectual that I think he's not going to appreciate me appreciating him. But it actually did happen. I expressed my appreciation to him a couple of times. And lo and behold, he turned around and said, I really appreciate you doing such and such to me. And so I shared that experience with Kathy.
That's nice. Thank you. I was going to say too, when you, I was writing down the phrase, Padma, be gentle with ourselves. Just as you said it, like that's a term that I heard before in a group that I was in of moms. And I think that's like, so almost like gives me tears because yes, we are so hard on ourselves, like I should do this, I should do that, but like stop and say, you're doing a great job. The kids are happy. The kids are fed. The kids, they're joyful. Like, yeah, just be gentle on ourselves because I'm sure we are our hardest critics because everybody else is sitting there being critical on themselves as well. Honestly, probably, so just be gentle with ourselves. I think that's like really important to remind ourselves daily.
Yes. Well said. Thank you.
And Catherine, you're precious to me. And I liked what you said about what your mom did made you feel precious. That's a really nice feeling to have. Yeah.
Thank you, Phyllis. Yeah, and I liked what you were saying, Phyllis, about The Apprentice. I hadn't really, I didn't like grab onto those words when they were going by. So I'm glad you brought them up again because it's a really interesting idea. And that thought, I know better blocks the help. I mean, yeah, I mean, gosh, I always knew better. I always knew better than anyone what I needed and knew exactly what it was. And yeah, just it's really clear that that blocked help.
If I can take just one more minute along that line, what I had written down was because with Sherry telling us that she has a 29-year-old daughter, um, I have written down that there are mistakes that we make that are irreversible. But at the time, we do the best we can with what we know. And I have always felt that I made a mistake in not keeping little Jared at home instead of letting him go with his brothers, because I could have managed one child. The 24-hour nursing care that was required by the 3 children, I couldn't do that, and I knew that. And I let Jared go with his brothers because he was like them and he loved them and he felt comfortable and everything. But I've always felt that that was a mistake, that I should have kept him because he did have an IQ that was teachable. But we do the best we can with what we know at the time. And so we have to forgive ourselves for and accept that there were good things that came out of that decision. So that was something else I wrote.
Yeah. That's being gentle with ourselves too, isn't it? When we forgive our mistakes, because we are going to make mistakes as mothers. We will make mistakes. I mean, just as human beings, we make mistakes. And we make allowances for that.
Well, at the time, they told me that they would die between 6 and 12 years old. And so that was the information I had at the time. But the fact that Jared lived to be 19, I wouldn't have known that because they weren't doing that. But nursing care made it possible for them to live that long. So I'm so grateful to Angel Aid and to Padma for helping me to be gentle with myself and forgiving. Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for sharing your deep and wise heart with us. There's so much in there, and your presence is such a contribution.
So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Welcome. Maybe Sherry, or you have to unmute yourself, dear. And then Vicki, if you want to type in anything, you're totally welcome to.
Well, since I didn't know what the reflection was reflecting on, didn't really have a whole lot to jot down, but I did write that I received a lot of love and gratefulness. My husband and I are always thanking each other for everything, and do have to say we have a great relationship. And I'm disabled in my back, so that I'm not able to do housework and cooking and cleaning and stuff. And so I do get help cleaning the house. He does grocery shopping and cooking. He always has, even before my back got really bad. And I couldn't be more grateful. I mean, he's one in a million. And I'm very, very blessed, and I know that. So that was what I wrote down, that I just, I'm thankful, very thankful. He was raised in a very large family, and learning to cook for the masses was, just what he did. So he enjoys it.
And how long have you all been together?
We married in 1990, and we were together 5 years before that. So I'm not good at math. So since 85.
That's a chunk of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We have
so
two
then
girls, and Amy is our oldest. She's the one with the disability. And Kelly came along 20 months later. And that was a good move because it motivated Amy to crawl and then to walk. And eventually now she's talking. And I mean, it's not clear, it's utterance, approximations, I should say, of words, but you can kind of figure it out. And I'm very grateful for Kelly to be able to help us in that way. She really did. So
it's wonderful. It sounds like you've been living in a culture, like just in an appreciation soup for a really long time.
We really have.
And it's this gratitude, right? This gratitude is, I would say, a very deep, heartfelt expression, or actually result almost of being appreciative, is this feeling of gratitude that wells up inside for this person who's on your team,
right?
And and this is what it means to be in the dance of relationship, is just to make that effort to both just appreciate and then also to receive, and to receive what the other person is doing, whether it's your husband or your neighbor, and let them do it how they do it, right? We spoke about this. Let them do it how they do it. They're not going to do it. I mean, this is just the grace of, that they even learn to do it at all, or that they even manage to do it. And I've seen this, I've mentioned before, with my partner. He just more and more, he just starts to really show up and handle things and do them in his own way. And so there's a lot of, so we're talking about appreciation, we're talking about acceptance. These are some of the kind of tenets of a relationship, is appreciation, acceptance. And then we haven't really spoken that much about affection, but affection's really in there. When you just give your husband a little hug, or even maybe just like a squeeze, you give them a squeeze. Or sometimes we walk up behind somebody who's been working hard or been at the computer all day, perhaps, and we just, rub their shoulders a little bit, or something like that. So these are some of the things that are contributing to a healthy team. And that also we have these either spoken or unspoken, preferably articulated, agreements. What are the agreements that we are that are holding us on our team? Well, we've agreed, okay, we're married. We've agreed to be monogamous. That's it. We're married. This is a monogamous relationship, unless otherwise specified. So, okay, we're in a monogamous relationship. We've agreed that we're going to take care of each other in certain ways. So I'm curious, just how are you taking care of each other? Anyone? How are you taking care of each other in physical and emotional, energetic ways? You're doing so many things. How are you taking care of each other? It might be by speaking in a way that is kind and respectful. I'm taking care. I'm taking care, how we're taking care of each other is that when I'm triggered or stressed out or exhausted, I don't talk. In my house, if I'm, because I can get ramped up, as kind of calm and meditative as I am, I can get really ramped up and irritated, just like everyone else, as my family. And the best thing I can do is be quiet and wait until I've neutralized my feelings to say, all right, now I'm ready to talk about XYZ. Or I might not even be, we've spoken about this before. It's like one way that we take care of each other is we recognize each other's capacity. Right? We don't hit somebody with a laundry list of things to do at the very end of their day. Definitely not. We assess. So what else? I'm just throwing out a few things that we do.
Except, I would say listening, like truly listening, and also giving each other their own time to do what makes them happy. For instance, my husband enjoys woodworking, has a shop downstairs, so he needs to take his time, his day, his half day, whatever, maybe an hour to go down there and piddle or do something. So I think giving time is another thing.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and that's a flavor of generosity. I'm giving you space to do what makes you happy, what nourishes you. What else?
Richard and I know each other so well, and we started a form of non-communication because we kind of know what the other person is thinking. But what we've done lately is more communication, explaining what we're about to do or what we did and why we did it. And for him, that's a real caring approach with him, because he wants to know, and he's retired and he has time to listen. And so even though I don't feel like explaining everything, I do it because it feels good to him to know.
That's it right there. Even though I don't feel like explaining, I do it because actually it makes him feel good. So I take the extra time. You're making the extra effort to show up and communicate in a way that really reaches Richard. So communicating in a way that reaches the other person. And this goes back and forth. This is an infinity loop. This is not, the women do all these things and the men just sit and drink, coffee.
And sometimes he'll say, well, I don't need to know that. But I let him say that. And then the next time I tell him anyway, because circumstances are different. He's different the next day because of what he's been living through.
Yeah, that's great. So clear. How about you all? Katie, Catherine, Kathy, Vicki, anything to add?
It sounds like Vicki has really worked through things with her husband. Vicki, good for you. You guys are doing what's best for your children. Not particularly what you want all the time, but what they need in that situation.
Yeah, and it is hard. Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to thank Vicki for sharing that too in the chat. That's a lot.
Well, I guess for us, I try to plan time, but time gets time goes so fast. Like last Saturday, we went out just real briefly. We had not our older son, our son, who's just a couple years younger than Amelia, that has the special needs. He stayed home with Amelia, and hung out with Amelia so Todd and I could go out. So for us, like Todd definitely wants to do stuff as a couple, but at this point anyways, he likes me to plan it. So we'll do that, or we'll just plan, go to bed early so we can have mom and dad time, so for us that like in the touch, that's Todd's, like one of his love languages is touch. So for me it's service, and so we just try to incorporate those things into our week so time doesn't go too fast, too long before we actually spend quality time together. That's important for us, for our marriage. I feel like we're actually doing really good right now, so that's awesome. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that he sometimes will go, Kath, I feel like we are distant. I'm like, I don't think so, but if he feels it, then we are, at least in his mind. And so that's his reality. And so then we need to work on it. So that's
right. Oh, that's great. And that's so great that he's saying it. I think that's a really key thing. It's just to name. I mean, it's kind of like, does it make us feel closer when we name that we're distant? But the thing is, you're feeling it anyway. Or if one person is feeling it, as you said, Kathy, it needs to be tended to. This is tending to the relationship. When you tend to the relationship, this fortifies your team. The relationship is a team, and it's not all about the logistics of the kids and the house and all the things. It's about you. It's about having intimate time and quiet time and fun time, even if it's just little windows. So I'm so glad you guys are doing well.
Thank you. Me too. It definitely feels better than when you're not. That's for sure. That doesn't feel good.
So much better.
Yeah.
Katie, you want to add anything?
Not particularly. I think I resonate with a lot of things that have been said. I think that my husband and I try to do some of those things. I think I was I think at first when you asked, I was thinking of just very concrete things, like when we're both working from home, but like not really seeing each other because we're on meetings, or I'm in and out taking one of our children to appointments or things. But like one of us will, text the other to say, I made lunch and left it on the counter for you, or just like, like very sort of tangible, very simple things. But
well, those are tangible, but that's like a caring. Exactly. That is a loving gesture. I thought of you and I left you food. Yeah, we do that too. I'm like doing my own thing and he's doing his own thing. And I'm like, honey, I left you a salad, and it's so much easier and so nice when you reach in the fridge or on the stove and you're like, oh, someone made something for me.
Yeah.
They cared enough to think about me and my needs, because that's what it is to be in a couple. Is it's no longer about me and only it's also about me and what I need. And it's more than me and what I need. It's like me and what I need, you and what you need, and us and what we need as a couple and as a family. So that's awesome. Practical is good. We live in 3D for now.
Sure.
So thank you so much. Paige, did you want to add anything? I see you reappeared. No? Okay. All right. Well, if anyone has any questions about anything, please reach out to Paige for any kind of logistical things or just curiosities or navigating through Mighty Networks. And I just want to say you can chat inside of our workshop group in the workshop. There's ways to communicate with each other, and through Mighty Networks, you can find one another's information and just say, hey, I really liked what you said. Would you want to just ask a question, or if you, it's up to you if you want to exchange phone numbers or emails or things like that. So I just encourage you to connect, and I'm so glad that we're here together and that we're doing this. So wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So practice. There were so many things that we touched upon today. So be aware of shoulds. Catch yourself. Just be like, wait a minute. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Just stop. Is that true? It's enough to interrupt it, because the mind of should is a judging mind, and we all have it. So it's like, wait a minute. Is that true? Oh, actually, this is what's true. We can reframe. We can shift what the places we're getting trapped. And also, like ways of tending to the team. Just see what you can do. We had so many, giving each other time to do what makes us happy, really listening, having clarifying communications, making food and leaving it for your husband, planning time together. And really, and we can maybe talk about love languages, but if you know how to really reach somebody likes to be touched, touch them, just even a little. Somebody likes to hear things, you say things and reflect things, do that. Acts of service, do an act of service. So really good. Anything else that anyone wants to say before we go? Okay, well, let's give a hug. Phyllis. I'm sending hugs and love and so many blessings your way. And I look forward to being with you all next week at this time. And again, please go to the Rare Mothers Roundtable on Thursday and share what you have to share, because the vision is to really keep weaving together and strengthening our community. And the strength of the community is the relationships. All right.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
You're
it.
so
Thank you.
welcome.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.